Tomorrow might be the day that changes everything for all the markets. And this is coming as the stars could be aligning for Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin is back above 115K, and we just survived the massive $19 billion liquidation event as Bitcoin finally flipped green for October. And then we could have more Fed rate cuts coming faster than you think. I think the Fed rate cuts are like more than locked in at this point. We don't know how much are coming. I know a lot of people, I think the kind of conservative view is 25 bips. A lot of people are saying 50 bits. We've heard some crazy even 100 bip cuts, but we can almost guarantee that the rate cuts are coming. And I think for most people, most Bitcoiners, they're always wondering, like, why do we care about the Fed rate cuts? It always boils down to one simple thing: cheaper money equals more liquidity. And if they're trying to lower the rate cuts, then we all can kind of bet that liquidity is on the horizon, the big print, money goes burr, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think a lot of the stuff we're seeing right now is people waiting on the sidelines until the markets kind of figure their shenanigans out. It's still a little early, a little figuring out where to invest their money. So people are sitting on the sidelines. Anyways, we'll get on into that. And of course, I'm here with Sophie. I don't even know when Nico's coming back yet. So it's Sophie and I for the foreseeable future.
He's coming back soon.
Great.
You're just gonna have to tune in every day this week until
to see if he comes.
No, until he comes back. He's definitely coming back this week. I can't guarantee exactly when this week.
Rip. All right, guys, let's break some stuff down. So I'm not just gonna cover the rate cuts because, of course, it's almost a lock. And so this is happening tomorrow. They are doing it's a 2-day kind of meet. They're going to meet tomorrow, Tuesday the 28th, and then we will get the official announcement on Wednesday the 29th. That's most likely when Jerome Powell will speak. So they got 2 days to deliberate about this, but I think we'll probably start seeing Bitcoin and other markets price in a rate cut. And I think we kind of saw this weekend. We did get a healthy pump back to, it actually went up to 116. But we're roughly around 115 right now. So
Opti's talking about the price. Everybody,
it's over.
Everybody close your ears. It's over.
It's
honestly,
over.
I'm so apathetic at this point about the price. Like, I really am at this point just happy to be holding Bitcoin. I feel privileged to just be holding Bitcoin while everybody else's money is essentially going down the gutter. As soon as they no, I mean, it sucks, but it's true. Like, everybody else who is holding cash, who's holding like anything in their bank accounts, like, get ready. When they start printing this money, that money is going to be worth significantly less. And we're right now at 3% inflation, which is higher than the Fed's 2% goal here, which was inevitable after they did the first rate cuts in September. And now they're saying that not only are we going to get rate cuts at the end or in the middle of this week, but we're also going to get it again in November. So everybody is kind of scrambling to either buy more Bitcoin or see where they hedge their bets and where they put their money. We've seen an all-time high in gold, as you all know, recently, even though that's also been kind of collapsing in front of our eyes.
Yeah, it went down about like 8% the last couple of days.
Because people need liquidity. Because like that, and that's the whole cycle, right? They print money, it goes into hard assets pump, and then people need immediate liquidity, which leads to the cycle occurring again. And the quantitative easing we're seeing is happening like more and more frequently. So how long until that frequency ramps up to a situation where you have hyperinflation, which we've seen time and time again in countries like Lebanon and Venezuela? And we are not immune to it. America, USA. This is going to be a tricky time for people.
Well, we're literally at like ground zero here. So if anything, I think Americans are going to have a rude surprise if they aren't actually preparing themselves, because we are seeing some interesting stuff happen in the Middle East. And this is a totally different tangent, but it does seem like there is some kind of deals being made right now. There's a restructuring around not just the monetary policy, but of course like foreign policy. And I think what a lot of people are missing is that this is fundamentally potentially moving America away from being the center of the power here. And as a lot of Bitcoiners have been talking about for a while, it is starting to look like we are entering a multipolar world versus like the singular, the US being the kind of leader of everything. And I think a lot of people might get blindsided by this because they aren't really positioning themselves. And this is what we always talk about. This is why we're Bitcoiners, because, hey, we may be early on this, but this is where the world is heading.
Well, the ones who are positioning themselves, as we know, are the big institutions. Bank of America is accepting Bitcoin as collateral. So is JP Morgan Chase. BlackRock has, been making tons of money off of their IBIT ETF. And whales have been moving billions of dollars into that asset. So I think that they see the writing on the wall. I think that they are finally capitulating to the inevitable scenario that we need to be moving into hard assets. And eventually, hopefully, the United States government realizes that, hey, we can't just back the dollar with the money printer, because we're actually trying to end wars. We're trying to step back from all of this global interference that we've been doing since post World War II. And how do we do that? How do we run the money printer without having to necessarily go into all of these wars and conflicts and whatever? You have to have a money that is actually like something that is actually backing up your money. And since that's not gold anymore, lol, we don't know how much gold there is in Fort Knox. We need something different. We need Bitcoin. We need a different hard asset that actually sustains the United States economy so that we can get out of this rat race cycle of printing and debasing everybody's currency.
Bars. Okay, let's get into the recent news, and I am going to bring up Bitcoin in this because I am also seeing, not only did we pump to 115, 116, but again, we got back to a green month. I don't know if you guys looked at the monthly chart. It's pretty brutal right now. It looks pretty atrocious, but hey, it's a positive October. I mean, it might not be the best October, but at least we flipped green. There's still a couple of days left. Anyways, I'm over here on Reuters, of course, and it goes, Fed poised to cut rates this week with more easing likely on tap. And that's probably the biggest signal here. Remember, we've been telling you guys, they've been telegraphing this for weeks now, that quantitative tightening is over, which really shows, hey, if quantitative tightening's over, then quantitative easing's on. What's that mean? It means they're going to flood the system with more dollars, figure out a way to add liquidity. I don't know if you guys have been still watching what's going on in the repo markets, what's going on in regional banks, but liquidity is drying up right now. And this is why we're most likely going to see, I'm going to argue we're going to see an aggressive rate cut announced on Wednesday. And then we'll see what happens further. But we are starting to see that there is some cracks in the system, and they're going to do whatever they can to paper over it, literally paper over it. So let me read a little more of this, and then I'll go into what I'm seeing in the Bitcoin price and Bitcoin chart. So the Fed is expected to cut rates by 0.25% or 25 bips to prevent labor market slowdown. Milder inflation reduces tariff-driven price pressure concerns, and Fed faces internal split political pressure on rate decisions. So there's the basics TLDR, and actually I wasn't really going to talk about this, but Sophie was making a pretty good case about how the whole government shutdown is affecting all of this. Do you want to get into that? Because I was like, it's really like not a big deal. I'm honestly kind of happy that it shut down. Like, what are they doing anyways? This is kind of a good thing.
I mean, look, if you're a Bitcoiner, of course you're happy that this is happening, because we're finally in a way cutting our spending in a way. We're not paying for non-essential government workers, and we are realizing that the government functions just fine without non-essential government workers. But what that doesn't mean that we're not paying them. That doesn't mean that just because they're not showing up to work that they've been suddenly fired. So on top of the fact that we are short on liquidity, we also have to pay for all of these workers who aren't doing anything at the moment because they're not fired. We also have to sustain and at some point pay back the employees who are working, who are essential workers. And so we are going on, what might be the longest government shutdown in America's history. And like that in the middle of a tight liquidity market is a recipe for multiple rate cuts, lots of money printing, and we haven't been here before. We don't know how this is going to affect markets. We don't know how this is going to affect inflation. We don't know how, we're going to get out of this. Again, I really do feel that this is going to be the wake-up call for the US government to say, hey, we need to start backing our money with hard assets again. We need to reverse back to 1971 because this is not working. People now have decentralized access to information. They don't want to go to war. We can't just fool people anymore. We can't just hide where it is that we're spending money and, say that our money has this arbitrary value. On a global scale, I mean, this is why BRICS was brought to the table. This is why other powerful countries in the world are trying to go away from the dollar and back their currency up, a new currency with gold and oil. But I think that even they're realizing that it's not exactly the best path. And that's why China is opening itself potentially to Bitcoin. Russia is potentially opening itself to Bitcoin. I just like there's a lot of things that are coming together that are basically calling for Bitcoin to be the global reserve asset for all of us of the world.
I think we still have a little ways to go before we get there, but
I mean, yeah, we have a little ways, but like it's gradually then suddenly, right? I mean, how fast can our economy deteriorate to the point where we have to do some serious damage control or we lose our status as the number one economy in the world? Remember that the US doesn't make anything. We are the number one consumer of the world, but we don't actually make many products. We have invented the best technology in the world, but we don't make it here at home. And so how do we how do we keep our economy afloat? How do we do it? It used to be by,
print.
Yeah, it used to be by selling dollars to countries where their currency is worse than ours. But what happens when our currency starts to become just as bad as theirs? You have to shift to something else. You have to pivot, and it's I'm at a loss for words because I don't know if the government will pivot before they allow things to become worse than they are.
Okay. That makes some sense to me. All right, so guys, on the Fed rate cuts, they're potentially, this is kind of what everyone is wondering, that they might lower the federal fund rates to a range of 3.75% to 4%. Obviously, we have no clue. They still got to deliberate. I know people are saying that they still probably won't cut rates because of the government shutdown. Everyone else is kind of expecting it, and I think the markets are pricing in another rate cut. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in a couple of days, whether this is going to actually happen, whether there's going to be some more volatility in the markets, whether Bitcoin can maintain this 150K kind of market structure. But going a little further, I really like this TFTC tweet here. And I think this is kind of like the long-term view that most Bitcoiners take. And he goes, when the Fed cuts this week, or if the Fed cuts this week, short-term yields will fall. If long-term yields don't, that's the bond market saying, we don't believe you can escape this debt without inflation. And Bitcoin gets it. Obviously, Bitcoin responded really well over the weekend. And then going a little further, just kind of, keeping you guys up to date on what actually happened over the weekend. I got this headline from The Block, and it goes, Bitcoin surges above 115K when millions in short positions been liquidated. I don't know if you guys saw on Twitter, but the shorts, the short liquidation heat map is looking crazy right now, and everyone is just kind of looking at it and like, man, let's get all these leverage gone. And they're like, it's signaling that there's probably going to be a lot of volatility in the market. So as prices recovered, nearly $350 million worth of short positions were liquidated in the past day. And they're expecting a year-end Santa rally. Guys, maybe we'll have a good Christmas here. Maybe, October was kind of weak. Actually, here, I'll pull up the monthly chart because it is I was actually having a good laugh about just what it looked like. It's pretty brutal here. So here we go. Oh wait, sorry, this is on the day, it wasn't on the month. Here we go. Look at this monthly chart here, guys. This is absolutely nuts. So here, I'll zoom out, you can see it. We're still well above the 50-month moving average, but this monthly chart is just kind of hilarious. So we opened the month at 114,116. We had a low of 113 or 103K. We had a high of 126K, and we're currently at 115,594. Just a crazy volatility on the monthly chart. Hey, it's been fun. Has it not been fun, guys? Are you not entertained over here? Anyways, going a little further, this is probably I saw this one, and it made me feel a lot more bullish here. So Bitcoin Archive tweeted this morning. It goes, just in, Bitcoin reaches short-term holder cost basis of 114,000. First time since Trump's tariff comments and the $19 billion crypto crash. The last time that short-term holder MVRV reclaim ended the spring sell-off in May. As you can see here, the last time we reclaimed this, we got some action in the market. So if history does repeat itself, it looks like we might be back in on play for a bullish Q4. And then just some, an interesting little hot headline, and obviously no one knows anything, but Standard Chartered, they've been coming out super bullish, and they did the infamous Bitcoin is never going below 100K again. So I don't know if we can really hold our hat on that, but they are essentially saying it's probably going to begin because of the Fed rate cut. So if this is what we're seeing, I think all of the crazy volatility we saw in October, it might be finally behind us. And the October returns right now, I believe, are like 1.4, almost 1.5. So let me pull that up real quick just to, be completely fact checked here. If my internet works, it's kind of lagging on. Here we go. Actually, it's not even working for me. Oh, here we go. Okay. So as of now, it's even worse than I saw this morning. Perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, so as of now, guys, we're barely green on October. We're up a measly 0.86%. October has been pretty brutal. There's still a couple of days left. I keep getting reminded of that one meme of the kid playing football, and it's like, they had me in the first half, but we finished strong. Still a couple of days left. Maybe we see some fireworks to wrap up this month, but I think Q4 is still in play with everything kind of going on in the world right now. Like I said in the beginning, all the stars are aligning perfectly to see Bitcoin run. Everyone's making crazy predictions for the end of the year. I know we've been beaten down all year. It's basically been a stable coin. We've been here for over 10 months, basically. The price hasn't moved. It's moved 1%, confirmed 1%, but we've had a lot of volatility in the markets. It's gone up to 126. It's gone down to 103. at least it's been above 100K for over hundreds of days. I think it's 120, maybe 130 days. So the consolidation is looking really strong. The fact that we're able to reclaim and kind of hold above 100K throughout all of this madness, I think it is starting to show that there is a lot of strength in the Bitcoin market. Obviously, what do we know? We're just looking at the same stuff you guys are looking. So we're all praying for the Santa rally here. But I think things are working in our favor right now. I know there's been a lot of craziness, and a new Trump tweet's going to nuke the market. Who knows if he flip flops and all of the crazy stuff he's been saying. One week, trade wars off. The next week it's on. The next week it's off. And the markets are just super volatile based on tweets right now. This is the market we live in.
But this weekend, they shook hands and took a picture. So it means absolutely nothing. But, to the speculative people who, believe in proof of stake, it's something. I mean, obviously, the market reacted in some type of way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the main question here. Is what is the Bitcoin price telling us right now? It did respond 115K, or actually it went up to 116. I saw someone in the chat say 117. I didn't catch that this morning. But if the market, or at least the Bitcoin price, and the reason we focus so much on what happens in the Bitcoin price is not just because, Lambo and Moon, but Bitcoin is the most liquid market, and Bitcoin usually responds before every other market makes their move. Excuse me. And so anytime Bitcoin dips, again, it's the most saleable liquid market in the world, trading 24/7, open every single day of the year. It'll usually have a quicker kind of response to what people are seeing in the markets, and then it'll usually respond better. And so if we're seeing the Bitcoin price respond very healthily over the weekend, and we finally got a Sunday pump back in the books, guys, it feels good to see it pump on Sunday. I'm glad we didn't see a huge dump on Monday, because usually, at least in the old days, you'd see it pump over the weekend when Wall Street kind of checked out. It would pump all weekend, and then Monday would come in, and when they get in the office, it would dump on them, and it used to be hilarious. Now we're just like, can we pump, please? Can we just get a pump in? So the real question I'd like to ask you guys out there in the audience is, do you think that Bitcoin is pricing in not only rate cuts, but a bullish end of the year? I think it is. Obviously, who knows what's actually driving the markets right now? But I think the bullishness we're seeing right now in the current price, I think is it's starting to make me feel a little less, anxious about what's going to happen end of year. I don't know if I want to say it, but wait, since you guys got rid of Mean Fridays, I thought you said the price has gone downhill. But hey, I love the haters. Shout out to the haters. Love to see it. Love to see it.
We were literally just talking about you before we went on live. We're like, wow, man, we love our audience, even the haters. And today I even have a hater. This is great.
I'd love to see it. Love to see it. All right, guys. So I got, good stuff here. Well, first, Eric Trump. I know you guys may not like him, but he just went on the Coffee Hour podcast, which is a huge podcast, huge mainstream podcast, just getting extremely bullish and continuing to double down on the idea of nation states buying Bitcoin. And I'll show you a thumbnail. It says 1 million Bitcoin. Dude, everyone's catching on to our grift here, Sophie. Everyone's catching on to the thumbnail game over here. We're not alone anymore.
You know what? Some call it clickbait. I call it manifestation.
Okay. All right.
I'm just ready for the for the price to pump.
Yeah, soon.
And to our defense, there's nothing really happening in the news, so we got to do what we can to keep you guys watching. I'm sorry. At least to hang out in the live chat.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, this is where we are in the story. Bitcoin price is a stable coin. Nothing really going on in the world too much. We're seeing some life back in the price.
We could call it the calm before the storm. I hope.
Yeah, I love the framing.
I hope, man.
Love the framing.
I'm just as tired as you are.
And then for the news, we actually got some interesting news coming about the Mount Gox repayments. If you're a Mount Gox OG, not really good news for you. But from, a price perspective of a view of what are these Mt. Gox kind of, people that are getting repayments going to do with that coin, it might actually be kind of bullish for everyone out there. And then in the news or the culture, to wrap up the show, I'm going to go back to a tried and true, Bitcoin per share, because I was talking to my young cousin the other night. She's like 13, 14. And there was something I really wanted to tell her. I sent her a little Bitcoin. I made her write down a wallet. And I really wanted to kind of emphasize to her that the amount of Bitcoin that she already holds is not that much, but like it's still a lot when you compare it to the Bitcoin per share. And so I don't know if she's watching this, but this is what I wanted to tell her. So that's what we're going to do today. And then, of course, before I move on, I do want to remind you guys to smash the like button, comment on the show. What do you think about the show? And of course, hit the subscribe button. We drop the most content, the best Bitcoin content on YouTube. Turn on the notifications so you know when we drop stuff. And of course, we go live Monday through Friday, roughly 12:30 p.m. every single day. And of course, we wouldn't be here without our partners. Of course, Bitcoin Well, the best place to buy your Bitcoin, because they never hold your Bitcoin. They have never lost Bitcoin, and they will never lose Bitcoin, because when your dollars go through, when your Canadian moose shekels go through, the Bitcoin gets directly to your cold storage, and this ensures that another Mt. Gox scenario doesn't happen. We want you guys to take all of your Bitcoin into cold storage. All of the Bitcoin you've ever bought should be in cold storage, secured by yourself, because this is how you ensure that whatever crazy stuff happens in the market, you are unaffected. Yes, maybe the price will be volatile, but at least one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin when it is in cold storage. So scan the QR code right here, and when you sign up, you're going to get 3 chances to win 1 million sats, which is what, about $1,115, right, or $1,150 right now. You have a chance to win 1 million sats. So make sure you sign up, and every time you buy some more Bitcoin, you get more points. Every time you refer your friends to Bitcoin Well, you get more points, so you get more chances to win 1 million sats. Anyways, guys, we will be right back after this commercial break.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, StampSeed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Are your seed phrases really secure? StampSeed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need for you to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates. Instead of just writing them down on paper, paper is fragile. Titanium plates are strong. Your words are actually stamped into the titanium plate with this hammer and these letter stamping tools. Once the words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. And now you can customize your titanium seed plates. You can upload your design or logo, and they will laser engrave it on the back of your seed plate, the opposite side of where the words are. Stamp your seed on StampSeed and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the stampseed.com store.
All right, guys, we are back. So the current Bitcoin price, at least according to Clark Moody's dashboard, is 115,520, which is a negative 8.4% decline from all-time high. And we have reclaimed $2.3 trillion market cap. You love to see it. Love to see it. And the current block height, the only time that really matters, is 921,054. I repeat, 921,054. So TikTok, next block. Bitcoin's working exactly as designed. Anyways, I do want to just show you this first and foremost. What's going on? Oh, I didn't share it. My bad, guys. Oh, wait, I did. Wow. It's acting up on me. Here we go. So if you are unfamiliar with the Iced Coffee Hour podcast, these two guys, they're around my age, they're in like their 30s. And they're one of the bigger podcasts right now. And really, a lot of the stuff they talk about is usually around kind of financial planning and how to like invest for your future and how to protect yourself and, you know, be a smart investor. It is called Iced Coffee Hour, but dude, they're literally stealing our stuff on these thumbnails. $1 million Bitcoin. Prepare now. Eric Trump shocking prediction for stock prices, Bitcoin, and the US dollar. So it looks like a lot of people are essentially starting to pick up on a lot of the trends that we have been talking about. I've been telling you guys basically all year that it looks like Bitcoin is starting to enter the mainstream consciousness. They can no longer ignore it. They have to, at the very least, seriously think about what is Bitcoin trying to solve? Will Bitcoin be a good, you know, asset for your portfolio? Should you be investing in Bitcoin? And of course, the big thing we always talk about is what is the future of the dollar? Now, I've been covering this for a while. They've been projecting and telegraphing what they want to do with the dollar, which is essentially lower interest rates, flood the market with more liquidity, essentially kind of lower the strength of the dollar so that we can kind of benefit from trade, etc., which all means to you is your purchasing power of the dollar is going to get destroyed. You do not want to hold dollars. Actually, you cannot hold dollars if you're trying to build wealth. This is why everyone is trying to position themselves into various different assets. I know a lot of people historically like real estate. Real estate's really hot amongst kind of young investors right now. Basically, everyone is investing in stocks and equities, and the stock market is basically being held up by 7 companies. Like, that's not even a joke anymore. It's literally like being held up by 7 companies right now.
Most of them AI.
Yeah,
by the way.
exactly.
Most of them AI.
Like literally the S&P 500, there's 500 companies. Most people invest in it. It's being held up by like 7 companies, most of them around AI, like Sophie was saying. And then of course, gold did a pretty good run. It's kind of, you know, repriced itself by 8%. Of course, last week we were covering if a 5% of that goes into Bitcoin. Obviously, just because the Bitcoin price went down 8% doesn't necessarily mean that that's flowing into Bitcoin. But if a small portion of that does find its way in the Bitcoin, and maybe that's what we're seeing right now in the Bitcoin price, maybe people are taking some of their profits from gold and they're rolling it over, and the rotation, the great rotation is finally upon us, and they're trying to get themselves into Bitcoin. But again, the conversation is no longer, let's ignore this speculative, you know, scam coin here. This is becoming a pivotal part of everyone's portfolio. And if you don't have even a little bit of Bitcoin in your portfolio, you are really missing out. So if you want to go listen to the whole podcast, let me refresh this, see if there's any more views. It roughly right now has around 100,000 views. So like, you know, these guys have a huge subscriber base, 1.47 million. So, hey, they're doing a good job out there. If their job is kind of being financially savvy, how to protect yourself, how to invest, what you should be doing with your portfolio, I truly commend them for, you know, even if you don't like Eric Trump, but going out there and talking about Bitcoin. And obviously, Eric Trump is he's diving really heavily into Bitcoin. So with all that being said, let's just take a little quick peek of the podcast.
Why should any government be buying Bitcoin? Because it's the single greatest performing asset over the last decade, increasing in value 70% a year over year, every year. Like Germany a couple of years ago, there's a great article. You might know the exact numbers, but Germany had like 30,000 Bitcoin or something along those lines, and they sold it right away. They monetized it into, you know, their currency, and it was like the worst investment ever made by a government. And by the way, that's a pretty damn low bar, as you know, right? The government should definitely have certain crypto assets on their balance sheet, mainly Bitcoin. And actually the United States government does, right? You have a lot of forfeitures.
Correct.
And they've taken a great stance saying that we're not selling any of it. You have a lot of countries around the world that are actively buying. If you go to, you know, the UAE, if you go to a lot of countries, they are actively putting that in their treasuries. And you look at the Fortune 500 companies, they are actively hoarding Bitcoin. The biggest families, the biggest companies, you know, countries, sovereign wealth funds, and individuals are all hoarding Bitcoin, right? It's why it's been as explosive as it is. And it's funny, people are like, oh, well, Bitcoin's down like 3% now. It's like this time last year, Bitcoin was at like 55,000 or 60,000 roughly. It's had unbelievable explosive growth.
Honestly, I almost personally feel attacked at that last point. Like, yeah, it's down 3%, but remember last year we were at 55% and we're still complaining. We really, actually, I saw Eric Balchunas tweet this morning or last night, and he's like, Bitcoin's up 70 to 100%, on the year. And Bitcoiners are complaining about it. Is like they should go talk to like traditional bond and mortgage traders, and they'll realize like they'll get some perspective of how good we are actually doing. But we're all like, where's the 400x? Where's the 400% gains here?
It's different because we've been waiting for like 4 years. That's what people don't understand. We're tired because we've been waiting for an entire cycle in what, historically has been a huge bull run. And we haven't gotten that yet. And I think that part of that is because institutions and governments have stepped into the scene, right? Like I thought that them becoming part of it was actually going to make the price go up, but it turns out that's not what's happening at all. And I can only blame it on the one factor that's been different this cycle, which has been the involvement of the government and these great financial institutions. So,
well, I think I was actually explaining this to Sal this morning. I think what is going on, and we covered it last week, a lot of the selling, quote unquote selling that we're seeing from whales. Remember, guys, we've been covering that all year. Like, even though supposedly we're seeing, billions of dollars being bought up by institutions and Bitcoin treasury companies, at the same time, we've seen multiple billions of coin, $1 billion in Bitcoin hit the exchanges. And a lot of people have been suspecting that the whales are selling out. And everyone's like, why would the whales sell out? And obviously, you can rationalize this and be like, hey, 100K was their number. With more data as the year comes along, it turns out that I think a lot of people are essentially swapping their Bitcoin for these treasury company stocks because they think they're going to get a better return. And then just more recently, we saw that the BlackRock ETF is allowing the in-kind redemption. So a lot of the quote-unquote selling we're seeing on the market is not necessarily people selling out. It's just them swapping for treasuries or these ETF to get some of these Wall Street benefits, quote-unquote. And so, like, I have been saying that all year long as well, Self, where it's like, all right, one, are these Bitcoin treasuries and ETFs actually buying Bitcoin? Because we should be seeing the price go up. And then as more data comes out, you're like, well, at the same time, there is billions of dollars potentially being sold by whales, which makes you just very simply 42 IQ take of this.
That's the thing. It's not even being sold. It's just being moved into ETF.
Yeah,
and now these institutions are holding those keys. So it's not that they're being sold. It's that they're being like almost like just transferred, like stabilized.
Yeah, totally. But on the exchanges, it does get marked as a sale, even though they aren't actually selling. And so going further on it, I think what a lot of people see,
so it's just massively undervalued.
It's exactly. Well, I think what a lot of people are seeing is if you see whales kind of sending a bunch of coin and you're not like a hardened Bitcoin OG true believer, you probably get a little freaked out. You're like, why are they selling billions of coins or billions of dollars of coins on us? This must be the top. They're looking for exit liquidity. But of course, we don't know exactly what their thinking is. But if they are majority rolling it into treasuries or ETFs, so on the exchange, it'll mark as a sale, which scares people. But they're really not selling out. And so that's, I think, what's been kind of like the two factors in play. Yes, the treasury companies are buying thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of coins. ETFs have acquired million coins, but there has been potentially, at least on market, on paper, a lot of sales. But now it looks like that is just getting ported over. And more recently, we did just see, since we're talking about Eric Trump here, their company, American Bitcoin Miner, just recently bought an additional 1,414 Bitcoin, now holds 3,865 Bitcoin, and they are ranked 26. So, Trump's they're climbing that leaderboard. I mean, Trump Media Group is, 6? And now American Bitcoin Miner is 26. I think a lot of the people that are saying, Trump and the Trump family isn't that serious about Bitcoin, I think their accumulations are telling us otherwise. They want the coin. They are very, very active about Bitcoin or America becoming the Bitcoin capital of the world.
They are, but at the same time, when these institutions start to adopt Bitcoin, they look for stabilization, like the reduction of volatility. They don't like these crazy bull run. Because what happens when a bunch of people see a bull run? It, like, look at what happened with gold the other day. They will sell in order to have liquidity or to, you know, do it. And that type of volatility, Wall Street and the government, they're just not used to that. And I have a feeling that there is something happening behind the scenes that is either suppressing the price or, you know, some sort of mechanism in place that is keeping the price like going sideways, because I've never seen Bitcoin behave this way, to be honest. Even during a bear market, I've always seen it go up and down, up and down. It doesn't just like straight up go sideways. That is a sign of what, like, something that like Apple would do on the stock market. It's not normal.
We're really a stable coin now.
It's crazy.
It's going to be 115 per coin forever, guys. I like this comment in the chat though. JC18 Jr. goes, people are mad that Trump gave them cheap coins to buy. Love it. Love the optimism. Yes, he said we're going to be the, you know, Bitcoin superpower of the world. And then he gave us some cheap coins, you know, before the inevitable bull run. So, you know, you really can't be that mad at him. It's kind of a Chad move.
You can be. Well, actually, yeah, you can't be mad at him because he's also the person that's printing a bunch of money for there to be in circulation so that you can buy more Bitcoin. But it's kind of impossible to do when people need liquidity because inflation is going so high. Like, do you see the cycle that I'm painting for you? Like, it's getting harder to buy Bitcoin because of inflation. Essentially, like the same reason why you would buy Bitcoin is the reason why it's becoming hard to acquire some in the first place.
More dollars sloshing around in the system vying for the same amount of sats. It's the race is getting competitive, to say the least. Anyways, guys, one more commercial break, and we will be right back.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, Ledin, the leader in Bitcoin-backed loans. Unlock the liquidity in your Bitcoin without having to sell your Bitcoin. They've issued $9 billion in loans to over 10,000 customers since 2018. I absolutely love these guys. Not only do I have an account with them, but I also have a loan. And what I love about them is that there are no monthly payments, and you could pay back the loan at any time. As soon as you send your Bitcoin as collateral, you'll have cash in your account within 24 hours. Over 1,000 five-star customer reviews, and they've never lost a single dollar or sat of customer money. Go to learn.ledin.io/simply today, and you'll get 0.25% off your first loan. I want to give a shout out to our partner, sat123.com. Sovereignty isn't just about your money. It's about your communications too. When the grid goes down, most people go dark. Cell towers fail in hurricanes, cyber attacks, and blackouts. But satellite phones, they don't rely on local infrastructure. Iridium has 77 satellites in orbit, giving you a direct line anywhere in the US, even offshore. If you hold your own Bitcoin keys, you should hold your own comms too. Sat123.com also has everything you need to start building your Bitcoin citadel. Starlink, battery backups, Faraday bags to protect your hardware wallets, and much, much more. It's a one-stop shop for anyone serious about resilience and off-grid independence. Stay connected, stay independent, stay sovereign. Go to sat123.com/simply today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the store. I want to give a shout out to our partner, BitKey. If you already self-custody your Bitcoin, you know the deal with hardware wallets by now. Complex setups, clumsy interfaces, and a seed phrase that can be lost, stolen, or forgotten. BitKey fixes that. BitKey is a multi-sig hardware wallet built by the team behind Square and Cash App. It packs a cryptographic recovery system and built-in inheritance feature into an intuitive, easy-to-use wallet with no seed phrase to sweat over. It's simple, secure, self-custody without the stress. Time named BitKey one of the best inventions of 2024. Get 20% off at bitkey.world. That's BITKEY.world with the code SIMPLY.
I want to remind you guys again to buy Bitkey at bitkey.world using promo code SIMPLY for 20% off. And if you want me to continue doing this lovely ASMR to counteract Nico's yelling at you, smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, and share this video with your friends. Thanks.
The whispering's hilarious. Okay, guys.
It's not even whispering at this point. It's just like softer
It's just like
voices.
normal talking because Nico yells at us every day.
It's to bring the cortisol levels down.
Dude, honestly, you do bring my cortisol level down when you do the ASMR. Anyways, guys, let's chat about this. So, if you're unaware of this, Mt. Gox, I don't know if you guys are new. If you've been in Bitcoin and you've done some basic research into the history of Bitcoin, then you know the importance of Mt. Gox. It's one of the earliest exchanges, had a huge demise. This was basically the start of, I believe it was the 2013 bear market where it went from $1,000 all the way down to $100. It took about 2 years for, the Bitcoin price to reclaim this. This was one of those early moments where if you were in Bitcoin, this was one of those early testing points where you might have thought this whole thing was over. And this is why we constantly tell you guys that you want to take your Bitcoin off an exchange, because if you don't own the keys, then it's not really your Bitcoin. And if we've seen any type of examples throughout history, these are the biggest ones, whether it's Mt. Gox, whether it's what happened with BlockFi, Celsius, FTX, some of the biggest moments in Bitcoin always revolve around a very simple principle: is if you leave your Bitcoin on an exchange, it's not really your Bitcoin, and you can potentially never get those Bitcoin back. And this is why we constantly tell you guys, you want to, of course, buy Bitcoin, but you need to take it into cold storage because you're never going to get rug pulled by an exchange. And again, this is why we partner with Bitcoin Well, because they never hold the Bitcoin. Anyways, we have a recent update. So the last time we talked about Mt. Gox, it sounded like the Mt. Gox customers, victims, however you want to call it, were about to get paid. I think the last time we were hearing about this, they were saying October or November of this year. They were all about to get repaid. And as of this morning, it looks like the OGs out there, if you had Bitcoin on Mt. Gox, it's going to be pushed back for another year, guys. So again, not your keys, not your Bitcoin. And this is one of the longest ongoing sagas in Bitcoin. This happened, over a decade ago. And yet the people that had lost Bitcoin on Mt. Gox still haven't been able to claim that Bitcoin. So we'll read this a little bit. Mt. Gox pushes back Bitcoin repayments to October 2026. The defunct exchange trustee has pushed back repayments for October 2026, citing incomplete procedures and creditor processing issues. Of course, here's it's gonna push back another year. So around 19,500 creditors have been repaid so far, while many remain pending. Early repayment news sparked sell-offs, but later delays drew little reaction, showing greater market resilience. And again, I think this is why, on the one hand, if you are a Mt. Gox victim, you're probably mad about this news story. But if you're a newer Bitcoiner, that last sentence is probably why this might be a bullish thing, because it might have caused another sell-off. But I think as if we've seen anything in the last couple of weeks, is that Bitcoin is more resilient. Bitcoin is stronger now. It is a bigger market, and the sell-offs aren't as brutal as they used to be. If you heard another kind of historical moment in Bitcoin, the bear well, he sold about, I think it was 19,000 coins or something like that. I'd have to, maybe someone in the chat can refresh me on that. And the last sell-off we just saw about, a few weeks ago was like quadruple the size of that. And we went down 10%. It wasn't a complete, end of a bull run. It wasn't a bear market. It wasn't a long-term kind of devastation. It was just a blip on the Bitcoin chart. Seems like the bull market is still in effect, still in play. So rehabilitation trustee Nobuika Kobayashi wrote that many creditors still haven't received their repayments because they, quote, have not completed the necessary procedures, while others faced issues during the process. It was formally approved by Tokyo Court and announced on a notice published Monday. So it looks like they're going to get pushed back. And Arkham data shows that Mt. Gox still holds about 34,689 Bitcoin, worth nearly $4 billion at current prices. So if this did happen, I think a lot of Bitcoiners that were OG Mt. Gox kind of, I think the only word I can use is like victims here. Most likely, they're not, they haven't lost faith in Bitcoin, but if they did get repaid, we might have saw another sell-off. And really the question is, could Bitcoin deal with another sell-off right now? It feels like we're just getting some life back in the market.
Or
but
they might not. I mean,
yeah, that's really the thing.
If they're getting paid back in Bitcoin, I think some people are getting paid back in fiat and in Bitcoin Cash, but if they're getting paid back in Bitcoin, and they've seen how it's performed over time, I don't see why they would massively like sell this off. Like it would just like why would they do that? Or maybe they would sell off a little portion, but not the whole thing. Not when they've seen how much Bitcoin has appreciated over time.
Well, that's what Elaine said in the chat. She goes, I guess Mt. Gox is waiting for number to go up too. So, hey, one of those sagas that continues to go on. And this is why we constantly tell you guys, you need to take self-custody of your Bitcoin. I know it's kind of, it is terrifying for a lot of people, but the safest place to hold your Bitcoin is under your own self-custody. And I was literally talking to one of my cousins about this the other night, and he was like, okay, can you just like explain to me, what, like on a theoretical technical level, is holding a Bitcoin on an exchange the same thing as holding in cold storage? Aren't they both kind of like IOUs? I'm like, no, dude, like if you leave your Bitcoin on an exchange, that's the IOU, and the safest place is to hold it in self-custody. And he's literally the one that kind of got me into Bitcoin. Me and him basically learned around the same time. And of course, I just got obsessed with it. And he just like, okay, whatever, like you're a nerd. But this is why we constantly tell you guys, the best place to have your Bitcoin it is a learning curve. There is a little more responsibility that comes to it, but you cannot leave your Bitcoin on an exchange, because you never know if these exchanges do go down, you might not ever receive that Bitcoin, and you might be stuck in a, over decade saga to try to reclaim your gains. And the only thing that really kind of did well for the Mt. Gox guys is that they literally did keep it in Bitcoin, versus most other kind of scenarios similar to this, like we saw with the BlockFi stuff and the FTX repayments. They basically just give you the dollar gain back on the date of its collapse. And so you lose out on all those gains.
That's what FTX is doing.
Yeah.
Right. And so at least you can tell that these people have good intentions, even though the system behind them failed. And that's, the intention doesn't matter. You can still lose your Bitcoin. I think that's like the principal lesson here to learn is, keep your Bitcoin in self-custody, and don't keep it on exchanges.
Yeah. And actually, I think this is a good point. Winsome Hacks, shouts out my boy Winsome Hacks. He goes, self-custody is ideal. You shouldn't let it stop you buying Bitcoin now, with a view to moving to self-custody though. I would totally agree with this. Is like, guys, a lot of the things in Bitcoin, yes, we can be dogmatic when we talk to you guys on the show, a little hyperbolic, etc. But it is kind of baby steps. And I think a lot of people, especially when it comes to self-custody, and especially when it comes to a large amount of wealth, you shouldn't just, go through this extremely fast. I think for most people, probably the best way to do this, and again, like don't put me on don't crucify me here, but usually what I kind of recommend for most people is a very simple process so that they can kind of get their toes wet. And it's like, you know, buy on an exchange, whatever's most convenient for you, buy on an exchange. And then when it gets to a certain amount, you know, certain threshold that you feel a little uncomfortable leaving it on an exchange, then I'll probably have them move to like a phone wallet. And once they kind of get comfortable with that phone wallet, then I start kind of giving them a cold storage to set up, and I kind of, you know, drip feed them more of the Bitcoin signal. So they do happen in baby steps. Now, I know a lot of people will do the opposite, and they're like, you need to buy Bitcoin and you need to buy a Bitkey today, and this is the best way and the only way you should do it. I totally get that angle.
I mean, it is the best way that you should.
Yeah, it totally is the best way, but
for
some people, you kind of have to work with people.
No, I mean, I think just everybody has to go through their own journey, right? Some people, they start by buying Bitcoin on Cash App, and then they keep going down the rabbit hole, or something, you know, unfortunately bad happens to them where they lose some of their Bitcoin or they get scammed, and then they realize the importance of self-custody. Or the whole other side of why Bitcoin is important, it's not just number go up, it's the fact that you can store it with, you know, 12 or 24 words in your mind. So if, you know, if you wait, what?
Someone said force Bitcoin down their throats.
Yeah, just do it. You know what? Like, forget everything I said. Just force Bitcoin down.
Yeah, just force Bitcoin down their throat. It really depends. Like, actually, this is probably a good segue into wrapping this up. I did the other night get my younger cousin kind of into Bitcoin, and I did kind of force her hand a little bit. It wasn't that hard. I was like, okay, look, I'm going to send you some Bitcoin, but I need you to download a phone wallet, and you need to, you know, write the seed phrase down. Make sure you don't show your mom or your brothers, and make sure it's on a piece of paper. And then once you get that seed word phrase down, I'm going to send you some Bitcoin. I did a small little test transaction. I'm like, did you receive it? And she was like, yeah. And then I sent her basically what I promised her. And I'm like, okay, now you're a Bitcoiner. You're rich, protect it like your life depends on it. And I just made, I made another Bitcoiner. Though
Dude, I did that with my cousin actually a couple of weeks ago. I turned him on to Bitcoin Well. I made him get a Bitkey. I made him, you know, have the whole system, because he's like, bro, like, what if they rug me on Coinbase? Like, what happened to FTX? Like, he just started randomly thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, exactly. So I got him on the system. Now he's protected. He's hooked up. Like, we're moving in the right track. The kids are going to be okay.
Yeah, the kids are going to be all right. And honestly, actually, I'll just keep it moving, and I'll rehash kind of part of this conversation. But the kids will be all right. All right, last commercial break for you guys, and we will chat a little more about this in the culture.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIVE Digital Technology. Why HIVE in 2025? Unstoppable growth. As the first ever public miner, HIVE's position to quadruple their global footprint, making them one of the world's fastest growing miners in 2025. And with elite operations that consistently top the industry in Bitcoin mined per exahash, HIVE's now headquartered in the USA. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're rewriting the playbook on sustainable Bitcoin mining. You can catch the latest buzz at HIVE Digital Tech or at hivedigitaltech.com. I want to give a shout out to our partner, bitcoinben.io. If you're into freedom, Bitcoin, and building a real community, this is for you. Gain exclusive access to real-world, members-only, private clubs across the globe, featuring poker nights, expert-led classes, co-working spaces, educational meetups, live events, and more. Current locations include Sarasota, Nashville, Boston, Dallas, Las Vegas, and St. Louis, with new clubs launching soon in West Palm Beach, Scottsdale, Alabama, and beyond. Not to mention Bitcoin Ben's resorts in El Salvador. There's 3 of them, and they're absolutely beautiful. You'll also get access to the first fully backed Bitcoin bank, with fiat ramps and savings accounts. It's called Private Key Bank. And you guessed it, it's based out of El Salvador. Go peer-to-peer with Bitcoin bulk buys. Tap into home equity for long-term Bitcoin growth. And join their exclusive mining pools if you're interested in mining. What are you waiting for? Head over to bitcoinben.io. Join today, where Bitcoin meets freedom.
Sorry guys, I was trolling in the chat. But Bitcoin Barber, I'm glad Stacktober is almost over. Anyways, kind of continuing on this conversation that I had with my cousin. I didn't do the whole, Bitcoin shill, the importance of it. But she actually, like, I think I sent her, I don't know, like $20 on, like, I don't know, a few years ago or something like that. And her phone got lost. And then this is where that conversation kind of sparked from. My aunt hit me up and she's like, you're actually kind of influencing your baby cousin really well over here, because the only thing she cared about was apparently she had some Bitcoin on that wallet. And I'm like, okay, did I write the seed words down for her? So I don't know. Anyways, I think we made a small donation to the network there, because I couldn't find the wallet that I gave her. And so I felt bad, a little bad, because this was like 4 or 5 years ago or something like that. And so I was looking for the seed word phrase, and I couldn't find it. And so I hit her up and I was like, okay, look, this is what we're going to do. You're going to download a wallet on your phone. You're going to write the seed word phrase. Make sure that you're writing on a piece of paper very legibly so that you can reread it. Make sure you do it slowly, all that good stuff. Like, don't show it. Like, if you want to show it to your mom, so like do a copy so that your mom backs it up for you. You can do that. And we both kind of agreed, like, it's probably better
for the best.
It's probably better in her control. Like, she'll protect her secrets better than my aunt will. I love my aunt, but yeah, she's probably not the best person to, keep a very important thing for my young cousin. And so she wrote the seed phrase down. And I sent her like a small test transaction. I'm like, okay, did you receive it? Did you do the wallet correctly? Are you getting that Bitcoin? And then I sent her some more Bitcoin, and I was like, okay, now you got to protect this seed word, put it somewhere safe. And then on Christmas, it's coming up. Like, I'm going to buy the whole family a bunch of bit keys. I'm going to make sure you guys are secure. So for now, you have some on your phone. Don't lose your phone, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And she was super happy. I sent her, not a lot of Bitcoin, but a lot for a young little girl. And she was super happy about it. And she's securing, and she's a Bitcoiner now. I'm like, look, you're rich. You're a Bitcoiner. Protect it with your life. But one of the things I really did want to kind of talk to her about and tell her is just like the significance of, I sent her like, $100, $200 or something like that. Like, not too much, but for a young girl, she was happy about it. And I also was joking. So if I'm like, look, I'm not going to rug pull you. Like, I'll lock in the gains for you too. So if I sent you $20, like, I'll send you $200 this time, so that you got the gains, so you don't feel like I scammed you out of out of your Bitcoin. So she, in her head, intuitively understands, like, oh, Bitcoin goes up. It's internet money. Like, she's in control. She's her own bank. And, we did that process, and she was super stoked on it. But one of the things I really did want to go into is the whole idea of Bitcoin per share. But I didn't really want to like be the older cousin that's like, all right, you got to understand, like, stay in school. Like, you got to understand how much Bitcoin you actually hold.
You got to go for like the initial human incentives of, I get money from you. Awesome.
Well, that's what I was joking, and my cousin was on the phone, and I'm like, all right, so now your job is her older brother. It's like, now your job is to, anytime you get paid by your mom or my cousin, it's like, you got to ask them for Bitcoin. And I heard him on the back. It's like, F no, I ain't giving her any of my Bitcoin.
She just she might just have to open up an account with bitcoinwell.com.
Off the record, she's not old enough. She's not old enough to do financial things.
Wait,
so.
Really? You have to be old enough?
I'm pretty sure you gotta be at least 18. I'm guessing.
Really?
Usually most exchanges, you got to be 18 to open up an account, unless it's offshore. No, sorry, I'm not rugging. I literally I locked in the gains for her, dude. So I,
you probably gave her more gains.
I totally gave her more gains than
like,
what it was. I literally,
I
literally paid interest on it. Anyways, part of the thing when I was telling her and I was shooting her Bitcoin, I really wanted to like sink in the significance of it, but I didn't really want to do the whole Bitcoin show and her being like, okay, whatever. So I'll do it here on the show. And our Twitter account did this funny tweet, and it's like if you hold more Bitcoin than Germany, and they hold $814.54, which is what, 0.00708 Bitcoin, so 700,000 sats, I believe. The US or German government holding 700 sats. So if you hold $1,000 in Bitcoin today, you hold more money than many of the nation states around the world. So pat yourself on the back. But this was the one that I don't know if this would make sense to like a 13, 14-year-old girl, but this is what I wanted to say, and I didn't want to get her eyes to gloss over and be like, okay, whatever, dude, just like send me the money. Like, do I have to sit through this lecture? Can you just send me the money?
Just wait till she finds out that she cannot spend it.
No, she's all about locking in the game. She's like,
really?
I don't want to spend this. Because again, I sent her like $20 like, I don't know, 3-4 years ago or something like that. And we did the process before where she, we wrote down the seed phrase together, and I explained it to her, and it registered long enough where she was like, I think my cousin has the seed word phrase, and then I moved, and I don't know what happened to it. So, good donation for everyone else. Nice little lesson for my young cousin. And she knew, it was like, I don't know, X amount of dollars, but like it should be more now. I'm like, oh, well, what was it then? And I'm like, look, I'm not going to scam you. I'm going to, I'll give you the gain so you can feel good about it. And here we go. This is like, the Bitcoin per person, one of the classic kind of sites in Bitcoin, just so people can really understand how valuable Bitcoin is. And really, and I don't really fully believe in this metric of Bitcoin per person. I'm not really much of a, egalitarian or where everyone deserves the same thing and the same amount of wealth. But when you think of it in this context, you realize that even if you're holding 1 million sats, 10 million sats, half a coin, etc., like even if you're at $1,000 in Bitcoin today, you are still early to this thing. And when you break down the math and the fractions of this, there's roughly, 8.1 billion people on planet Earth. As we always say, there's not that much Bitcoin to go around. I was literally tweeting over the weekend, there's 24 million American millionaires. It's only 21 million Bitcoin. Like, the goal is and should always be trying to hold on to one coin. But hey, if you don't get to one coin, like, it's not the end of the world. Obviously, you want to maintain stacking and continue to accumulate Bitcoin, continue to use it as a savings vehicle. But if you broke down the 21 million sats compared to the 8.1 billion people, that basically is, what is this? 244,000 sats, 244,616 sats per person. And right now, that's what, almost $300 worth of Bitcoin. Is that what it's saying?
Yeah.
Given that Bitcoin currently costs 114, so yeah, 115. There are only enough Bitcoins for every person to have 281.28 cents
That's
worth
crazy.
of Bitcoin.
That's crazy.
If Bitcoins were distributed using the current global distribution of wealth, 99.9% of people would have $53.50 worth of Bitcoin, and people in the top 0.001% would have 0.73 Bitcoins each. So
do you think like a situation would happen where like all of a sudden the dollar just like starts to gain value because we are backing our entire global reserve with Bitcoin?
Theoretically, yes. In actuality, if the dollar gains more strength, that's actually kind of like a bad thing for us in this scenario.
But like, what if it gains strength by virtue of being backed by Bitcoin, is what I'm saying. Like, is that a thing? Is that possible?
I mean,
I'm
that's
not an economist. I'm like really not qualify for
what
this.
since Senator Lummis has kind of been saying, that we could, save the US dollar by backing it with Bitcoin.
Well, you could save the deficit, is what she said. She said that we could pay off the majority of the deficit or whatever, but like over 20 years. But even then, like, I mean, could you imagine if we were back in the 1950s when like a quarter would get you a slice of pie? You go to Starbucks now and coffee's like $6. It's crazy.
Yeah, inflation sucks. Inflation's a hell of a drug, to say the least. But yeah, this comment, I'm finally above average in something. Yeah, man. I like,
Winning.
honestly, when look, I know a lot of times you're on Twitter or you're talking to other Bitcoiners, and we used to call it like stack shaming. People would stack shame you is because you don't have a big enough stack. Like we're not, look, let's be honest here. I'm never going to have Sailor stack. All right. There's no possibility I'm ever going to get Sailor or MicroStrategy stack or, hold millions of coins here. So you do feel like you're losing the race a lot of times. But when you kind of break it down into this mentality, you start to realize, okay, I am in a lot better place than maybe I was giving myself credit for. And the whole point, I think, of this one was to kind of show my young cousin that, hey, like, you're holding a significant amount here, even if it's only a couple $100. Like, it's really going to end up being a lot of money if you can hold it long term. But the second one is always the same that we always tell you. It's a game of accumulation. It doesn't matter what your stack is today. What matters is, are you accumulating to that stack every week, every month, every year? That's the game that really matters, is, are you continuing to accumulate? So you should never be taking your foot off the gas. Even if you go long periods of time where life gets crazy and you can't stack Bitcoin, as long as you continuously save in Bitcoin, this is how, you escape the rat race. This is how you achieve financial freedom. This is how you make sure that if there is some kind of dystopian future on the horizon, that you have money outside of the system. That's like the more kind of hardcore view of this. The simple view is like, let's be happy for what you have. You might actually be in a much better place than you ever thought you were when you really break it down into different kind of perspectives, different points of views. Like, a lot of us, yes, we might not be 100 millionaire OGs from 2013, but in 15 years from now, the stack that you have could potentially be a significant amount of money that you need to protect, and you need to get more people kind of around you understanding what they hold, and continue to, do your part to get more people holding Bitcoin. So anyways, that's all I got for them today. You want to add a little bit to this? So I remember being waves. Yeah, agreed. How much Bitcoin could that Snickers get you in 1969? Well, if Bitcoin was around, I'm guessing a lot.
A lot. I mean, I don't have much to add except for, if this isn't your cue to keep stacking, with the price going sideways like this, with us, having this expectation that Bitcoin is supposed to go up, and it, be supposed to be a bull run, and it's not, that this should be your chance to just keep on stacking as much as you can. As much as things are getting much more expensive and like you need to live, the sacrifices that you make today to buy Bitcoin will more than likely be worth it in the future. So just keep stacking, keep it in self-custody, and, take it a day at a time. But do stay solvent, okay? This is not financial advice.
Oops, I'm just pressing buttons over here. Yeah, stack sat, stay humble, stay solvent, guys. Do not over leverage yourself. The name of the game is keeping your Bitcoin. So don't get caught up in the greed of trying to get more Bitcoin. The name of the game is keeping your Bitcoin. So, being smart with your money. It's really, I mean, I've been saying this for a while. Like, it's not sexy. Like, the Bitcoin message is really not that sexy. It's like, oh, just save some money.
Yeah.
And get rich slowly. Like, it's really not that sexy.
It's not giving Andrew Tate vibes. It's giving stay at home and save your shekels so that you can just live 10 years from now.
Yeah, it's really not that sexy. It's like, oh, hey guys, How do we make financial, smart financial planning sexy? You kind of can't. You just stack Bitcoin and hold it for the long term, and you're going to be good to go. Anyways, guys, we love you. We appreciate you. We wouldn't be here without you guys. Of course, we go live Monday through Friday, roughly 12:30. I'm gonna keep blaming Sophie for the really late time here. Like we usually it's 12:30. I know we started at 12:16, but we are really on Latino female time here for the foreseeable future until Nico comes back, and then we're just simply on Latino time, which will be 15 minutes late. Okay, so we'll blame Sophie. Actually, I'm taking no responsibility for this. It's all Sophie's fault. No, I'm just trolling. I'm trolling. It's partly my fault too. So actually, I'll take full accountability as a male here. It is my fault we're starting late. Okay, guys. So
wow, this whole shutting up thing as a woman is really coming into my favor right now.
All right, guys. We love you guys, and we'll be back tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day. It's Monday, guys. Lock in for the week. We're gonna lock in here. Positive attitudes all week. I can't complain I'm not going to complain to Sophie. Locking in, guys. It's October is still in play. All right, guys. On that note, we will see you tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.